How do you feel about Tunsil's readiness to play left tackle?
I feel really good about where he's at right now. He did a good job going to a position he's never played before. We'll see how that transition goes. It's going to be more about, health, just keeping that, whoever our front, 5 are healthy. And, if we do that, that whole group should be, whoever we end up putting in those pieces, we should have a good group there.
Coach, what would you like to see out of Devontae Parker this offseason? Anything he might want to be doing? And then do you anticipate any greater contributions from him in 2017?
I think just consistency, that day in, day out, coming in the office at the right time, making sure that you're doing every little detail right. It's one of those things that I think some of us that have been around some really good players take for granted. And he's just got to understand that everything he does is important. It's a trust level with everybody in the building. If you tell somebody you're going to be there at 11 o'clock to lift, be there. Don't call in and, hey, I'm not going to show up today. So, he's done a good job at the end of the season, and what he's been doing, it sounds like so far, is he's doing good with just staying with his regiment, and that's how he had some success last year. Was he had 3 really good weeks in practice and everything he did during the day in meetings, and that's why he was able to have good games. So that's what we need from him. We just need that consistency.
What about the other young wideout, Carew? What have you seen out of him?
Yeah, we just got to keep bringing him along. When you're trying to, figure a guy out that's really not in your top 3, it's not always as easy as you'd think. And, the longer I've been around him, the more we've kind of figured out how we need to use him. And, he's done a good job trying to figure out his role in special teams and where he really fits in with those receivers. And, with free agency where it is right now, we got to figure out, where's he going to fit in? Do we still have Kenny? Are we going to lose him? We're not sure about that. So, our group, our young guys just got to be ready to step up.
Adam, where do you start in building your run defense?
Well, you'd like to say our front, but we got a pretty good front, so we got to make sure we do a good job with our linebackers, and we got to make sure that we got, our safety's healthy, and those guys got to be, huge contributors to what we're going to do. We got to get some more guys to help Kiko out. We got to keep him healthy. I think that front 4 is pretty good as far as what we have right now. We need some consistency out of Jordan, which I think we're going to get this year. I like where our DNs are at right now. Obviously, Sue, I don't need to talk about him because, he's probably the best in the business. And, if we can get, a couple more DNs to help out what we already have, that would be very helpful for us.
How comfortable are you if indeed Jordan's your starting defensive tackle playing 45, 50 snaps?
That's where we need to get. He knows it. We talked about it before the end of last season that we need to get his reps up. 25 plays a game is not really going to do anything for us. So we need his snaps to get up. We have to shorten the snaps on defense altogether, and that starts with the offense holding on the ball and then defense getting off the field on 3rd down. We can do that. That's going to be, better for us as a whole team. So if we can get Jordan, like you said, to that 45, 50 snaps per game, that's really what we're looking for.
At the moment, how would you describe your level of optimism regarding a Kenny Stills return?
I don't know. One day I feel good about it. One day I feel like crap about it. So I hate free agency. You just want to get your guys back. And, Kenny and myself have a very close relationship. And, worst thing about the NFL is sometimes that doesn't matter. So, sometimes the money's what guys are looking for. I think Kenny's looking, obviously he'd love to stay here, but, he's going to stay for the right price and what's comfortable for him. And I don't think anybody will blame him for that.
Has Jay Ajayi cemented a workhorse feature back type role moving forward?
I think so. He was really that for us last year. We were trying to use all 3 of those guys because they are, they're different skill sets and they're good. And, Jay's done a great job. We do need to get more snaps on offense, which would entail him getting more carries. He did a great job of coming along last year. We really felt good with the run scheme we were doing and just kind of sticking his foot in the ground, getting vertical and running through tackles. I think if he didn't lead the league, he was up there in yards after contact. It was a great thing to see his development throughout the year, and hopefully we can even go even further with the passing game. And he did do a good job of improving that area. Hopefully we can even take a bigger step.
Coach, how has your opinion of Ryan Tannehill changed compared to a year ago? Now that you've been with him for a year,
I don't know how much has changed. I think it's really, probably more perception for everybody else outside. I was able to just be with him in that spring and kind of could see who he was, and how he went about his business and how he was, his athletic ability and his ability to, be accurate and throw it on the field. And, it was just really a matter of time to show it in a game, and which he did. And we went through some rough times there early in the season, and then I'd probably put it more on myself than him. It was just us trying to figure each other out. All the guys on offense trying to figure each other out. But as we got going and we rolled a little bit last year, he really played well. He did exactly what we needed him to do. Guys made plays when they had to. Third downs, there were some big plays that he made on there, and then ad-libbed a lot, during the season. When he got hurt, I think that was even a bigger development for him. Just seeing him in meetings, I told him, towards the end of the season, I'm like, you're actually going to grow for the better because of this, because he took a different mentality in our meetings. You saw him teaching, coaching more, and guys accepting it. And that was probably a good thing for him, even though it was tough for all of us to, watch him, in a cast and on crutches. But, it was, at the end of the day, it was probably good for him.
Were you surprised to lose
Mobility is a
Van?
big part of his game. Are you at all concerned?
No. He feels good about it. He feels good with the brace he's going to wear. I'm not worried about it.
Were you surprised to lose Vance after just 1 year coordinator, and the defense was?
Not really. That was we kind of, when we hired him, we knew that there's a possibility this could happen. I've known Vance for a long time. This was my 8th year kind of being around him. The relationship we've had, we worked together in 2008, and then being around him as a defensive coordinator, I was not going to be shocked. I knew there was going to be some jobs open. He was going to be a guy that people are going to want to talk to, and I just kept thinking to myself, it would be really hard for a team to turn him down, because when he gets in a room and his presence and the command he has around people, it'd be a tough guy to walk away from and be like, I don't want to hire him. Anybody would have been running to try to grab him up.
That's his best asset, the presence in a room.
I think it's one of his best assets, but I would say his football IQ and the things that he does schematically are very good as well.
Was it just at the end of the day with Mario not as much of a fit you might have thought, or was it more performance than other guys were stepping up more than him?
I think it was Mario went through a lot of things that kind of we kept in-house early in the season, and it really was, some personal things. It just seemed like one thing after the other that was going on with him, and he probably didn't have as great a spring as he wanted to. And when he came back from training camp, I think at his age, it just, I think it caught up to him a little bit, and he was fighting to try to get in great shape and make sure that he was the injury prevention type thing. So, it was one of those years. It just didn't work out for him. It didn't work out for us, and I know that he was trying to do everything he could to contribute. It just wasn't his year for him with us, and vice versa.
In your experience, year-end evaluation of the offense, did you see pass catching tight end as just a glaring hole for you guys last year?
Not really. I mean, we liked where our guys were at. There was some things that I wanted to really try to do with Jordan at the beginning of the season, and I couldn't really click with him. I was trying to figure out what was best. I mean, I don't know how many times I went back and watched Cleveland tape, the year that he had 80 catches, to see what was I doing wrong, what did I have to try to do, and we tried to emphasize that a little bit more, as we got going. And then when we lost him, I thought Deion did exactly what we needed him to do. I think I held him back a little bit and didn't let him do some of the things that probably he could have done more of. And, we'll see what goes on moving forward. Got an idea what we want to do, and obviously I got to wait till March 9th. I know what you're kind of leaning towards here, but it's there's a good plan in place.
In your experience, when you get to a second year working with a quarterback, is there a tangible difference in terms of what your relationship is or what you can kind of add to their play and everything?
Yeah, after that first year, you really feel more comfortable, especially as a player, to be able to go through things that you want to see more and what you want to do, and kind of the point of emphasis that you want to do during practice. And then when you head into games, you know exactly what you want called. And I think Ryan is really comfortable with what he wants now. And he's not going to be afraid to communicate it with me. I think even towards the end of last year, he was really good at making sure I knew what he felt about what we were doing. And if I would call something he didn't like, he wasn't afraid to let me know, which is there's good and bad, because, the quarterbacks that I've been around are aggressive to let you know when they don't like something, and that's kind of where I want him to be. And I want him to feel like that this is his. He can say whatever he wants when he needs to say it, and I'm going to be able to react to it. I mean, at the end of the day, he's playing, I'm not, and our job is to put him in the best position possible along with the rest of our players.
What do you see Cam Wake's role as in 2017?
I think we'd like to do really what we kind of wanted to do last year. We just kept getting in positions to where, we were so far behind the other team could just run it, and then we weren't doing a good job of rotating him in there and making sure that he was getting the amount of snaps that he needed. Obviously we want him to be the starter. We would like him to really play the downs that are going to matter. We'd like to have him in there more on pass rush downs. If we could actually get a lead, that would be nice to let him rush the passer. So, we need to do some retooling on both sides of the ball to make sure that we're giving our offense more plays, defense less plays, and we actually need to play with a lead.
You seem to have some success last year with a bit of a tough love mentality with some of your players. If that's accurate, how did you kind of find that voice as a first-year head coach? How did you instill that or strike that tone?
I just felt like I was going to do exactly what I've always done, and that's just the brutal honesty part. We try to stick with that. Just communicate with guys. Just don't lie to players. That's the first thing I learned when I got in this profession. To tell them the truth, tell them straight. Foxy always told me, just don't BS them. Tell them exactly what you want and hit them between the eyes, and they'll respect that. They might not like it, but they'll get over it.
What was your impression of Kenyon Drake in his first year there?
What's that?
Kenyon Drake, what was his rookie year like for you?
He had some good days, some bad days. He did a great job when we got him in the game. He made some plays. I think he's a guy that we're looking to lean on a little bit more next year. We'd like to find some ways to get him and Damian in, but at the same time not take away from Jay. So we actually have three talented players at the running back position. We'd like to find ways to get in the game, and Kenyon's somebody that we're really interested in trying to find some good matchups for.
Do you think your secondary needs another veteran cornerback? Is that something you guys are looking for?
I think our secondary will take whatever help they can get right now. As many corners as you can get and safeties. I think the way the league's going right now, you better have guys that can play both post safety and be able to come down and tackle in that corner. You just need as many as you can. You can see last year, it felt like somebody was out every week. So, the more corners we can get, the better. And I like the guys that we have right now. I love how they work. I love the way that they've been trying to get better. So, but at the end of the day, we need more bodies.
Adam, his career kind of downplays his role a lot of times. I'm a humble guy, but can you give some insight into his expertise and influence when it comes to the draft?
Yeah, he's the guy we really lean on to organize everything, and then on draft day, he's the guy that sets it up, and really, we're leaning on his choice. And we feel comfortable with the roles that we all have. I know a lot of people see three of us working together and always think, how can that work? But we do a good job of communicating and everybody doing their job. I'd say Chris has got way more of an ego that he puts on. So it's a good thing. Adam, he does a great job with how we organize everything and really put all that stuff together. He's somebody that's a voice of reason for probably me and Mike.
Adam, there are some players that weren't invited to the combine because of things in their past. Joe Mixon.
No chance Perkins would get me to answer this.